She uploaded a TikTok with the caption, "Dating down develops character with me in the backdrop." Her companions were responding with laughing emojis and "Girl, you're so genuine for this." I didn't utter a word, simply gathered my belongings and departed that evening. 2 weeks afterward, her closest friend forwarded me a screenshot. She had removed every posting and was inquiring if anyone possessed a method to contact me. I never imagined I'd be on the receiving side of viral embarrassment, but social platforms have a manner of transforming private instances into public exhibitions and connections into material. Rhea and I encountered each other at a music celebration 3 summers prior. I was performing freelance sound tasks for one of the smaller platforms, and she was capturing photos for a lifestyle blog. We began conversing during a set transition, swapped numbers, and the remainder was history. I was immediately attracted to her imagination, her vitality, her drive. She operated as a content developer for a fashion subscription operation, arranged photo shoots, and possessed a developing social media following of her own. I'm a sound technician for an indie recording facility, a position I cherish, but one that certainly doesn't arrive with recognition or wealth. Despite our different spheres, we bonded over mutual preferences in music and cuisine. 6 months into our relationship, we relocated together into her residence, which made financial logic since she had a rent-controlled location in a decent section of the city. I contributed my portion, but the agreement remained under her name. Everything appeared flawless, until the algorithm displayed something I was never intended to witness. It was an ordinary Wednesday. I was scrolling through TikTok during lunch interval. I didn't subscribe to Rhea's profile since her material was primarily fashion and lifestyle content that didn't capture my interest, but we encouraged each other's professions in other manners. She never pressured me to interact with her material, mentioning it wasn't my demographic regardless. But that afternoon, a clip emerged on my For You feed. Rhea, in our residence, lip-syncing to some popular audio about compromising. I initially grinned, recognizing our living space until I observed myself in the backdrop, headphones on, blending a piece at my workstation. The caption struck me like a physical impact. Dating down develops character. Number sign, trust the process. For an instant, I assumed it must be some jest I wasn't understanding. But as I examined the responses, my stomach sank. "Girl, you're so genuine for this." The manner he has no awareness. Invest in capability but don't remain forever. And Rhea's responses, each one more terrible than the previous. Got to begin somewhere. The residence is mine regardless. He's pleasant, but this isn't the ultimate destination. I viewed the clip again. In the backdrop, completely unaware, I was nodding along to whatever piece I was producing that afternoon. She'd recorded this while I was in the identical space, captioned it to diminish me, and distributed it with her 67,000 subscribers. The responses kept arriving. Individuals I'd never encountered analyzing my looks, my profession, theorizing about my earnings. Some of her companions I identified by username, adding their own laughing emojis and encouraging responses. I closed the application and sat there, my lunch abandoned. Everything suddenly became clear. Her hesitation to present me to new professional contacts, the manner she'd redirect discussions away from my profession at gatherings, her recommendations about more professional attire, or discovering a better compensated position at a commercial facility. I wasn't her companion. I was her material, her charity situation, her stepping stone. I didn't telephone her, didn't message, simply returned to the facility and concentrated on the session I was managing that afternoon. The musician was recording a separation song, ironically enough. I gave it everything I possessed, directing my surprise and pain into generating the cleanest, most emotionally powerful blend possible. By the moment I arrived home that evening, I'd reached my choice. Rhea was recording something in the living space, her ring illumination, creating that flawless radiance she meticulously cultivated. She grinned when she noticed me, halted her recording, "Hey, I'm nearly finished here. Thought we could request from that Thai establishment tonight?" I nodded, walked past her to the bedroom. She didn't pursue, simply resumed speaking to her device like nothing was incorrect. While she completed her material, I quietly gathered a single suitcase. Just necessities, garments, toiletries, crucial documents, and my laptop. I took nothing that could be regarded as ours. No photographs, no mementos, nothing she'd acquired or that we purchased together. When I surfaced with my suitcase, she was examining her recordings, scrolling through enhancements. "Going somewhere?" she inquired, barely glancing up. "Yes." That obtained her focus. She glanced at the suitcase, brow creased. "What's happening?" I simply displayed her my device, opened to her TikTok. Dating down develops character. Her expression transformed from bewilderment to awareness to something resembling shame, but not quite achieving it. "That it's just material, babe. It's not genuine. My subscribers consume that content." She attempted a laugh. "It's just a persona I perform online. The responses from your companions, those a persona too?" She positioned her device down, suddenly protective. "You're exaggerating. Everyone embellishes for social. It's not actual life." I lifted my suitcase. "If I'm restricting you from whatever standard you believe you should be dating at, I'll eliminate myself from the situation. Don't be theatrical." She stood now, irritated. "It's just a foolish clip. You're going to discard our connection over this?" "Our connection concluded the instant you determined I was material rather than a companion." I headed for the entrance. "I'll organize to retrieve the remainder of my belongings later." "Wait, where are you heading?" "We need to discuss this." "This is my residence, too." "Precisely. It's your residence, as you mentioned in your responses. I'm certain you'll be acceptable without my fraction of the rent." I turned back one final time. I hoped the interaction was worthwhile. She called after me as I departed, her voice escalating in distress as the reality penetrated. I didn't respond, just entered my vehicle and traveled to a companion's location where I had organized to stay until I determined next actions. That evening, my device exploded with communications from Rhea, ranging from protective. It was just a jest to furious. "You're demonstrating my argument by being so delicate to tearful apologies. Please return home. I'll remove it immediately." I responded once. I merit better than to be someone's stepping stone or social media mockery. "Please don't reach out to me again." Then I blocked her number. The following afternoon at the facility, I immersed myself into tasks. The proprietor, Hector, observed something was troubling me but didn't inquire. He simply handed me our most demanding assignment, a vocalist with flawless pitch but dreadful timing, and stated, "Thought you might desire something to really concentrate on." I was thankful for the distraction and the implicit encouragement. That evening, Rhea's roommate from before we relocated together, Jasmine, contacted me. We'd always maintained a positive rapport, connecting over our mutual appreciation of underground hip-hop that Rhea considered too hostile. "Just verifying you're okay." What Rhea did was wrong. A bunch of us have confronted her privately. I valued the gesture but maintained my response concise. I wasn't interested in converting her companions against her or generating more conflict. I simply desired space to recover and progress forward. 3 afternoons after I departed, something unanticipated occurred. The musician, whose separation song I'd managed the afternoon, I uncovered the TikTok uploaded a segment on his Instagram tagging me and the facility. It captured attention in our local music community. Not internet-shattering viral, but industry-observed. By the conclusion of the week, my professional Instagram subscribers had doubled, primarily local musicians and technicians. Hector summoned me into his office the subsequent Monday. "So, that piece is receiving serious recognition," he stated, leaning back in his seat. "I've had communications from 3 indie labels inquiring who managed it." I nodded, not certain where this was heading. "Stonebridge Records desires to present you a contract assignment. 6 months collaborating with some of their new musicians." My jaw dropped. Stonebridge was one of the most honored independent labels in the territory, the kind of possibility sound technicians in our city aspired for. "It's headquartered out of Seattle," Hector proceeded. "I'd regret losing you, but this is the kind of opportunity you don't decline." I sat there astonished. A week prior, I'd been ridiculed online for my absence of capability in precisely this industry. Now, I was being presented a significant advancement. When would they require an answer? Conclusion of the week. They transmitted over the information already. I spent the following afternoons carefully evaluating the proposal, consulting with industry companions, negotiating conditions. It was legitimate, substantial, and potentially career-altering. By Friday, I'd accepted. That weekend, I organized to collect the remainder of my belongings from Ria's residence while she was at a content developer gathering. A mutual companion supervised to guarantee everything proceeded smoothly. I took only what was indisputably mine, abandoning even presents she'd given me. As I was gathering the final of my facility equipment, my companion looked uncomfortable. "You should understand, Ria's been experiencing a difficult period. Her interaction dropped after she removed that TikTok and a bunch of other uploads with comparable vibes. Some brand arrangements are on pause." I paused. "She removed it?" "Yeah." And a bunch of others. Apparently, her subscribers called her out pretty severely once the initial surge of encouragement died down. Individuals started commenting that it was harmful and cruel. Then, a couple of larger developers stitched it, utilizing it as an illustration of connection warning. Signs I hadn't pursued vengeance or public vindication. I'd simply extracted myself from a circumstance where I wasn't valued. The remainder had occurred naturally, the natural outcomes of placing cruelty online for attention. "I'm not celebrating her decline," I stated. "Honestly, I simply couldn't remain with someone who perceived me that manner." My companion nodded. "For what it's valuable, I believe she genuinely regrets it. Not just the outcomes, but what she did. Maybe that was accurate. But regret wasn't sufficient to reconstruct the trust that had been destroyed." 2 weeks after I'd departed, as I was finalizing preparations for my relocation to Seattle, I received a communication from Jasmine with a screenshot attached. It was Ria's private Instagram story. A black backdrop with white text reading, "Does anyone have a current method to contact Rye?" It's crucial. Jasmine's communication stated, "Thought you should know she's searching for you." She discovered about the Stonebridge arrangement from someone at the facility and has been informing everyone how she always believed in your capability. Just a heads up in case she discovers a method to reach out. I thanked Jasmine for the warning but took no action. Ria's sudden renewed curiosity in me, now that my profession was advancing, told me everything I needed to understand about her character. 3 afternoons before my planned relocation, Ria managed to reach me through a professional email address she located on the facility's website. "Ray, I need to speak to you. Please, I know I messed up terribly, but you have to allow me to clarify. I never intended to harm you. It was foolish material for interaction, not how I genuinely felt. I'm so proud of your new possibility. I always recognized you were talented. Please grant me an opportunity to make things correct. I miss you. I love you." I sat with the email for an afternoon before responding. "Ria, I wish you well in your profession and life. What occurred between us wasn't a misinterpretation or a jest taken incorrectly. It was a fundamental absence of respect. This new position doesn't validate me just as your TikTok didn't define me. I'm the identical individual I was before performing tasks I'm proud of. The distinction is I now comprehend my value better. Please don't contact me again. I relocated to Seattle the subsequent week. The Stonebridge assignment was demanding, exhilarating, everything I'd hoped for professionally. I discovered a small but comfortable residence, made new companions, and slowly began dating again, cautiously, with better boundaries. 6 months afterward, when my contract was extended and then made permanent, I allowed myself to reflect on how dramatically my life had transformed because of a single TikTok. Occasionally, I'd receive updates about Rhea through mutual connections. She'd shifted her material toward authentic connections and personal development, uploading apology clips and speaking about harmful internet culture, ironically gaining more subscribers than she'd possessed before. She never identified me or referenced the specific incident, but those who knew knew. Recently, I managed a piece that's receiving solid radio play in the Pacific Northwest. During a brief interview with a local music blog about the project, the writer inquired if there was a defining instant in my profession journey. There was a moment where I had to determine what I valued more. External validation or internal integrity, I answered. Choosing integrity created space for everything else to align. I didn't mention Rhea, TikTok, or dating down. Those details weren't necessary. The lesson was what mattered. Sometimes the most powerful response to public embarrassment isn't a grand gesture of revenge or a public call-out. It's simply extracting yourself from the circumstance, concentrating on your development, and allowing the universe to handle the remainder. I didn't need to tear Rhea down to ascend. Departing with dignity and tact was all the statement I needed to make. Update. Since this posting gained momentum, I want to clarify something. This isn't a narrative about profession success validating someone's value. I would have made the identical determination to depart regardless of what occurred professionally afterward. The timing of the new possibility was coincidental, not some karmic reward. Real development came from recognizing my own value wasn't dependent on someone else's perception or social media metrics. For those inquiring, yes, Rhea eventually did apologize properly. A private, heartfelt communication acknowledging the real harm she caused, with no excuses or attempts to reconcile. I appreciated that closure. We're not in contact, but I no longer harbor negative feelings. Life's too brief. And honestly, that TikTok led me to where I needed to be.